We're going to talk a little bit about what we do. We've got 2 full-time drone units, if this will work. We're actually we're a division in the police department. We're assigned to the traffic unit, but we have 2 shifts of drone pilots. So we pretty much have 24-hour coverage. The evening shift guy, we work 10-hour shifts, so we're 4 hours without a drone out on the street. And we use it every day. Every day we're using it. We have a fire department that has the drones as well. They have the same Inspires as we do. We fly the Inspire ones. And I've got the M210 now, which I think is a great piece of equipment. And that will be my full-time bird when I return back to Fort Worth tomorrow. So a little about what we do. And the main thing is what I try to teach everyone is let's do it right. Let's make sure when you're starting your programs, you're doing the right things. Your certificate agreement, your COA with the FAA, and a lot of y'all know this, so I'm going to run by it pretty quick. But if you have a question on it, let me know. We'd be more than happy to talk to you about it. Somebody asked earlier in the day, you know, can we fly with 107s or do we fly with COAs? I can't give you a definite answer. This is what I tell police departments when I talk to them. When you're flying with your certificate agreement with the police department, there's an agreement between you and your police department. When you're flying under your 107 license, you're flying under your personal license. And we all know about liability, and we worry about it daily. So if I crash the bird, is the department going to back me with my 107, my private license, or are they going to want to back me because they are part of that COA agreement? I tend to think they're going to want to go with the COA agreement and back you on that. So I always stress that it doesn't hurt to do both, but your certificate agreement with the FAA is what's really going to be your main document that you want to use. We talk about noticed airmen. We got pilots in here full-time, any police pilots? Y'all know the NOTAMs. You file them. Do you know that you can file your NOTAMs monthly, or we actually can file our NOTAMs for up to 3 months, what we're doing now. These are little things. If you're starting your departments that you don't think about when you're trying to get your programs going. So make sure you get your contacts. Know your numbers of where you're calling in for your NOTAMs. For your ECOAs, that's important. And y'all are going to discuss ECOAs tomorrow, right? Yay or nay? When we went to Hurricane Harvey, we had to go through the process of ECOAs. And so those are processes you need to know ahead of time. You don't want to be on the backside of those. After the presentation, there's several guys here that's worked and gotten ECOAs. We can help you out with that as well. So UAS capabilities, situational awareness, number 1. For us, my SWAT team, when they call me out on a situation, they want a full layout of the property. They want my Tahoe set up, and I'll show you here in a minute. I've got a 55-inch screen TV in the back of my Tahoe. They come to the back of my Tahoe and look at everything and see what they need to do situationally. And they expect that now, and that's a good thing. You want your departments to need these. Your department's got to go, okay, why isn't the drone here? And then my department does that. That's where are you at? Why aren't you here? That's something that's important. Better understanding the situation for command decisions, what we just discussed. Live feed. My goodness, live feed is changed the game for us. Down in Hurricane Harvey, we were able to live stream to the SOC, and they were able to direct their elements based on what we were live streaming. For your command centers and your command staff, the chiefs want to see what's going on. They want real-time information. Touch of a button, I can send them live feeds. They're able to watch it while it's going on. So that's important as well. Just a fair warning, when you do it, they come to expect it, and they're going to want to see it. Rescue, for law enforcement, that was something I didn't really expect to do. I was going to do a lot of chasing bad guys and doing all this. As I found out through the years now and working with these guys on the fire side, we're helping them rescue. Search and rescue, deliveries, payloads, high water rescues, big deal. Texas, we get tornadoes. We've been called out on tornadoes to rescue there. So, and I'll show you some videos of those here shortly as well. Thermal imaging, we talked about that earlier today, and I was listening. And thermal imaging is a game changer for night operations. Because we're not all million person population departments where we have helicopter access. We have to have these drones to be able to get up and get real-time information. And the FLIR capabilities that we have on these UAS systems now they're probably way above some of the FLIRs I've seen on the helicopters, and Garrett can attest to that. And it's something that's, you saw the K9 earlier, the K9 track. That was my video. Those are just things that you're gonna use daily with these things. Searching for suspects or missing persons. We were in Richardson. I don't know if anybody's from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, but a 3-year-old girl was killed by her adoptive father. I don't want to say father because I don't look at him that way, but he killed her. But we went down there and we searched, long and hard, and we were able to clear a lot of area. Though we didn't find her, we were able to get in and get the areas that they were concerned about and get them cleared, because their worry is they had a lot of public people that wanted to participate. They wanted to go in the fields, they wanted to go look for her, and they were afraid they were going to find her. And in law enforcement and public service, that's not what you want. You want to get out there, you want to locate your victims and make sure you get the job done. You don't want them doing that. So we were able to get out there and clear these areas, and it worked really well. Sold another department on UAS. I mean, I think they're looking at purchasing equipment now. So that's another thing you're going to find that you're going to do. You're going to become your resident expert in that area once you start doing it. People are going to call you. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? So just make sure you're there to help. When anybody calls me, I share my COAs, I share my policies and procedures. All that I have, I'll share. So I'll give you my information when we're done today. All you got to do is shoot me an email or call me. I'll send you everything I've got, because if you can get out here and save one person, it's well worth it. So clearing buildings for SWAT. I used the Mavic for active shooters. I work with SWAT on that. Some of y'all may have seen we did a special with Good Morning America on clearing buildings for SWAT and active shooters. That's working really well. But you got to set your parameters for that, okay? Because any law enforcement agency knows in here that I'm not going to wait to set up a drone if I've got an active shooter in a building. We're going straight in. We're strictly looking for that person that we may have had cleared this area of the building, or it's just one individual that's in there, and we're able to put the drone in and go help SWAT locate this individual. It's never going to slow down the process of trying to get and eliminate a threat in an active shooter. But it definitely is assisting SWAT as far as going in, locating the suspect. And everybody goes, well, what if he tears your drone up before the SWAT gets there? Guess what? He's not looking for them. He's looking at my drone. I don't care. It's just one of those things. It's part of it. So, types of aircrafts. We're going to just buzz through this a little bit. This is our fire department's Inspire 1. The Mavic, all y'all seen this. When this came out, the Mavic was the greatest and best thing, and it still is. I still think it's probably one of the best things that's ever come out. The M600, you can see delivering payloads. This one here belongs to Garrett Brills, and Garrett's kind of the guru in all this, and I'll get him up here in a minute, I promise you. This is the back of the FD's Tahoe. This is just how they keep their equipment in there. Because the fire department has to switch their unit out from different stations. They can't do anything permanent with a Tahoe, so they just have it in a central location where they can all respond and use it. And they use it a lot as well. FLIR is big with them. This is the back of my Tahoe. We had designed it, and I'll say we because Garrett and I we put our heads together and got this thing rigged out. You can see the TV in the back. We've got the chargers, the dual controllers. The slave controller is important. I know the 210 doesn't have this. I'm talking strictly for your Inspire guys. Because we've sold a lot of Inspires. A lot of departments in Dallas-Fort Worth are using them. They're not going to change until they have to. So, to be able to rapid deploy with this unit, I can do it in about 30 seconds. I can get it on the ground, because we do our pre-flight and our post-flight checks. As long as you're doing everything right and you're doing your checklist, this thing's ready to go as soon as I get on a scene. And what we do is we slave it to that controller, to that TV. If command wants to come up and see an area that I'm not showing, they can just use, I've got the gimbal design set up to where they can just gimbal left or right or up and down, whatever they want to do, locate what they want to look at. And so that works out really well. You get a lot of people crowding around your Tahoe that way, though, so just get ready for that. But it's a great setup. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about the UAS response team, and I hope I'm not stepping on y'all's toes tomorrow on this, but this is a great thing. If your area, if you're getting a large group of UAS pilots in different departments, You're all training together. You need to form a UAS response team. And because here's why. You get out here in a situation, I was on a 6.5-hour SWAT standoff. I'm going to run out of batteries. I'm going to run out of things that I need to continue. Well, what I do is I get on the phone to our PSART team. I say, is anybody close that can respond with batteries? I get another unit from another agency. They show up within a few minutes, and we're just cycling batteries out. And I've got support that way. This team has grown into something and blossomed into something that I never expected. I'll be honest with you. I thought we were just going to train on Wednesdays or Thursdays and be done. We are now attached to Texas Task Force 1. We get called out. We got called out to Hurricane Harvey. I'll show a couple of videos of that here in a little bit. But we were at Canton for the tornadoes. This group trains together. There's 4 or 5 of us that could just show up on a scene. We're going to set an air boss. We're going to know who's going to be doing what and what altitude they're going to fly. And there's never an issue. Everybody's doing everything they're supposed to do. And that's because we all train together and we train weekly most of the time. I mean, we're not supposed to, but we're doing something weekly. And everybody goes, well, we do it quarterly or whatever. Man, you got to fly every day. You have to get on the sticks every day with these things. If you want to be able to fly indoors and be able to get through doors, and because training and doing the actual event are 2 different things. If you don't have that muscle memory and you're sitting there trying to go down a hallway and you haven't done it in a while, the odds of you crashing that Mavic or whatever you're using down through there is great. So we constantly train with these things. If I've got some downtime, I'm in the hallways flying it, doing what I need to do. So, and everybody on that team does. We're constantly going off. I think they had 2 fire calls just a minute ago wanting drones. So that happens. And PSART it's acronym for Public Safety UAS Response Team. And like I said, it's a big deal in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We've got all the major cities involved in it now. Let's see. We'll just kind of go through this. It's qualified public safety UAS pilots. Every pilot has to go through a test flight with us in ADI mode, which is a lot of fun. If anybody's ever switched theirs over to ADI mode and the wind's blowing 30 miles an hour, Garrett gets a real kick out of doing that to people. But what we want to know is that you can fly these things blindfolded if you had to. And I'm just saying because we can't put somebody out there that's not qualified. And every one of the guys that's on our team is qualified. So make sure you set those standards and you set them high. Different uses for the U.S. and law enforcement. We kind of went over this. Missing endangered prisoners, people, escaped prisoners. We've done several of those now. They work really well, able to lead the dogs in, whatever they need to do. SWAT standoffs are big. We do a lot of SWAT stuff, and that's precision flying. But it's good. It's going to work well. Major accidents. We're talking about recreating fatality accidents and potentially being able to clear these fatality accidents with the systems that are out now within like 45 minutes instead of 4.5 hours with Ground Station Pro. I mean, it's one of those things that I think is going to be a major game changer, and I think this reconstruction, if we can perfect it like we're working on it now, and I've got Dwayne here and Garrett, they're all working with this, with trying to get this done. This is where our grant money will come. We will get grant money for UAS, and I know everybody goes, well, how can we get grants for it? Well, I haven't found one yet where I can get grants for just drones, but we can get grants for other things. So I'm thinking once we can prove this up under major accidents, that we can clear these fatality accidents up, I believe that whatever your Department of Transportation is will start sending that money out there because they want those roadways cleared as well, just as fast as we can clear them. Among others, I mean, like I said, we've done so many things. I've done bomb detection for the bomb squad. We've had suspicious packages that I've flown in on, got detail, and just got real-time information to the bomb techs. They come in, they look at the screen now, and they're like, okay, so we can send a K9 in instead of sending the bomb, bringing in the armored vehicle, sending the robot out. Because if anybody's worked bomb details, it's a 2.5-hour downtime. They got to get the truck there, they got to get the robot out. It's a long, drawn-out process. So you're actually saving them a ton of time if they can get in there and get eyes on it and see that it's not something that appears to be active or something they can just send a dog in to check on. Let's go disasters. For some reason, Texas has decided we wanted to have disasters quite a bit this year. So we've done a lot of this. Van Zandt County tornadoes. This is East Texas. We got called out in the middle of the night on this We were using our FLIR system to locate potential victims that had been potentially thrown out of their homes, cars. They had several fatalities at the time of people missing, so they had us out. We were out using our UAS, and then when the daylight came, we were able to get out and send information to the command center on where they needed to send personnel to start cleanup, start helping look for potentially more victims. Tornado path's big, and I'll show you here where Garrett was able to get up and get a nice path of the tornado. You can see the tornado path here. Just, imagine if you're in the command center and you're able to send this picture in. And this is pretty rural area, Texas, East Texas. So to be able to get that up there and say, okay, this is where we're at, this is where you need to send your elements, and this is what they were doing. This is the tornado path. You can see it's going through. And this is just one. There were multiple. How many? They had 4 or 5 in the path here of this area. This is the house that is amazing. A little old lady lived in this house, and before the tornado hit, she decided she was going to move into this area right here, and that's what saved her. The tree came down, the whole section went out, and she survived it with only a few scratches, and it was absolutely amazing to see. You go out there and you're just in awe of what nature can do and how people survive things that you really don't believe they could. But being able to get that information and tell that story, it's there again. You're using the UAS for that. And I say drone because this is a drone community. We never say drone in public, just so you know. Fleeing or missing persons. We're working with K9. Y'all saw that image, the thermal image there. One of those things that it's not replacing the K9, and I try to tell departments because there are some agencies that are replacing K9s with drones. I don't recommend that, just for the fact that because you found the guy, you still got to send somebody in to get him, right? And so what we're doing is we're actually taking a lot of work off the K9s. They're not having to go out there and sniff this whole field, get worn out, and they're exhausted, and before they find this guy, we're able to get up in the air, put it out there. Okay, he's here. Now put him in that direction. Y'all saw him. He was on a lead line. Here he is. Get in the area. As soon as he picks the scent up, he's on him, and we've got a guy in custody. I'll tell you with the FLIR on people that we did active shooter situations with a disaster. It was actually all kinds of different role-playing events there in Dallas area. And what we did was we were killing SWAT events with our FLIR system. They were wanting to send their units out into the field, an open field, to try to track down a suspect that's supposedly armed in the field. So they said, okay, well, let's use the drones on them. None of these folks knew anything about the drones. Some of them did, but some of them just wasn't really sure on them. And I said, are you sure? I said, do you want these guys to search, or do you want them to go right to them? They said, yeah, whatever. Sure, just put your drone up. I said, okay. So we get up in the air, and Garrett was with me, and he can attest to this. We're straight up, and the guy's glowing in the dark in the middle of the field, and I point at him. I said, okay, send your guys there. And the command staff's looking at him going, no, we can't do this. So they realized right then, okay, this is a product that we need. This stuff sells itself, guys. I see all these salesmen out here, but if you all you got to do is show and demonstrate what these things can do, and I don't see why I still don't understand why departments just don't start buying them. I'd like to say that we do. We don't have just a playbook that we would be able just to share with you on that. What we do is because we do so many different things in the Metroplex. I mean, we're flying constantly there. That if something doesn't feel right that we were doing, we'll go back and train on it. We've done a lot of search and rescue, missing boaters, that type of thing, where we're trying to figure out how to get past power lines, and we're getting different things that we're trying to do to keep from maybe losing signals or things like that. We'll go in and try to reconstruct some of that stuff and just try to get better at it and see what equipment's out there that might beat it. So and there's stuff out there that we have found. So no, it's just we train on the events that we feel like we're going to use the most, and then and if something comes up, we work with it. What we're doing is working. It's not a lot of talk. It's not a lot of mumbo jumbo. Everybody, oh, it can do this. We think it's going to be able to do that. There's no thinking about it. This works, and this is why it works. And we are protecting officers every day, and so it's a vital piece of equipment. And like Randall was saying this morning, it's not a toy. You tell your people, look, this is equipment that's going to save lives. I was doing burglary detail, and there again, when you're not going on calls and doing these things, we're out looking for bad guys. This is what we do. We're on a burglary detail. We've got a large tournament going on at a basketball complex. So I was over. We got a huge construction area going on next to it, and I know we've got equipment in there. So I got up in the air to see what I could, see if I could just keep an eye on it, make sure nothing was getting stolen. And I found these two behind the tractor. There again, it's pitch black out. There's no light. As soon as I get up in the air, isotherm's on. They're glowing in the dark. It's like, well, I can't believe they're paying me to do this. This is too easy. So what I did is contacted a unit, had a unit to come by, and I'm not going to show you the whole video, but I just want to show you, this is what you can do at night with these things. Look at the parking lot. If I want to go look at the parking lot, I can fly over there. If you got an area where you're getting cars burglarized, man, go put your drone up. Go find it. Look for it. Yes, sir. I usually stay in that area because I know that area real well. I'm about 150. And a lot of times you don't get, and Garrett can attest to this, but with the FLIR, you want to be a little bit higher in the air, a little lower. I have a tendency to get distorted, some things. Yeah, I'm sorry? High-res, it's 640. So there again, I was able to keep an eye on these guys until I directed the elements in, and they were able to get in there and talk to them. They were kids going over, doing what kids do, I guess. But anyway, still, that's just how easy it is if you're out in these construction sites. All right, this is a great one. This one I really enjoyed. I want to let this play a little bit. I got a call from the U.S. Marshal's office. They had a violent felony warrant on a subject that claimed he was going to shoot it out with law enforcement. As soon as they showed up, they asked me if I could go over and take a look at the place and maybe get on some intel for them. So I said, yeah, absolutely. So I get up here in my wonderful flying here and get in place for them. And I'm going to kind of fast forward this if I can find it, Garrett. What I'm doing is, I'll get around here and I'll show you here in just a second. But these are your Marshal units. And I told him, I said, just stand by until I can get eyes on that location. And eventually, I had been drinking a little bit that day. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. This is the Inspire 1 with a Z3 camera. Again, this is great. And so I'm going to let this roll to show you how this works. Okay, so there's your bad guy, right? He's in the white car. He's cleaning his car. He's minding his own business. He's trying to pack to get the hell out of Dodge because he knows they're after him. So I get on the radio and I said, hey, y'all want to take him down now? He's at his car with his head in it, not really paying attention to anybody if you want to get him. So they said, yeah. They said, okay, well, absolutely, we'll do that. So I said, I'll keep eyes on him. I said, I'm looking at his hands. I'm trying to give him all the details I can because, like I said, this is a violent felon, and he did claim he was going to shoot it out with officers. So I'm trying to maneuver my way in. Again, he's not paying any attention to me. That's the great thing about these. Okay, the stealth, I mean, they don't make that much noise where they're going to hear you. And they're not paying attention to you. And if he's got his radio going or whatever he's doing in there, he's not listening for that. So what I was able to do, and I'll just let this run through because it's pretty interesting. I've given them real-time information to the Marshal's office that he's there, and I'm telling them that they need to deploy. Here in a second or two, they're going to go in. They were waiting to get their guys up and moved up. But situational awareness right here. They know he's not armed. That puts them at ease. They're not so tense they want to go in, guns blazing. They know where he's at, and they know what they got to do as soon as they get there. This one guy doesn't even pull his gun. You see that? Violent felon, okay? And he says, "Oh shit, the Jones got him. I ain't got to pull my gun." No, I was giving him the information, and could he have grabbed something out of there? Absolutely. I don't recommend that, but hey, whatever they do, they do. I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback them at all. But look, it's just that easy. He's got cuffs on. He's going to jail. I go land and go to lunch. It's really nice. I didn't even break a sweat on that one. Yes. Well, that's a good question. We'll use YouTube private. Okay. We haven't had any issues with that yet. We are working on, and I'll get some of these guys to talk about some of that, but like Smart Hub is going to be good, but we're using DroneSense. If anybody's heard DroneSense, we're working with them to send as far as using their system to get live feeds in. DroneSense they're out of Austin, and they're going to be a good product, but it's like all of these products that are coming out right now. You're having to test them to see if they're going to do what you need them to do. And so right now, for me, YouTube has been the best way to send live stream private videos because it's going to them on a private server. We delete the feed after it's over, and we're done there. Because all this is, because we're recording off the cameras, right? I don't need that YouTube video once we're done. It's going away. So, and that seems right now to be working the best out of all of them. I hate to say that. I really do, because like I said, there's good stuff out there, but until we just get out there and work with them, this is what we do. Thermal patches. Has anybody looked into them? I think one thing you're going to realize is when you're out in the field and you got officers in the field or search personnel in the field, and you got a bad guy in the field, who's the bad guy and who's the good guy, right? You can't tell. It's nighttime. You got the FLIR on. What we're working on in Mansfield, and we've got several companies, and I'm not going to name them because we haven't decided yet, but putting these thermal patches as an epaulet on the officers or the fire guys or whoever's uniform to be able to distinguish them. And this is one of them, and I want to show you. So you can see how well that lights up. This is just a little patch epaulet that's up on his shoulder. And we are working, getting all of our uniformed officers with these thermal patches. Something you got to think about, especially when you get into this, is what are you going to do? When you get out here, are you going to be the department that is going to go out here and be aggressive, help other people, and get out and get after it? And this is something you need to go home, take back to your administration. You got to go and you got to talk to your administration. You got to look. Okay, we need to spread the word, and we need to be out here helping. We need to be able to show what we can do with these things. So I didn't anticipate the magnitude that it would work and the magnitude that we would take it to. And going down to Hurricane Harvey really opened my eyes because I went down there with the attitude that, well, we're going to go down there, we're going to save lives, we're going to pluck people off of roofs and send them life jackets. And I mean, it was going to be the biggest show in the world. And I got down there and I realized, you know what, there's more uses to these drones than going out here and delivering life jackets, locating people. Being able to get your live intel to your command centers is vital. And I don't see how I don't know how they worked without them before. Now that it's out there, they're probably thinking, how did we do this all these years? For us going down there, we started doing, I'll just tell you the story. We get down there, on our way down, we're filing our emergency COA and ECOA. Has anybody had to file an ECOA before? God bless you when you try, because it's not fun. We got down there on our way. We're sending our ECOA in, trying to get everything ready, because the last thing you want to do is be rogue, and you want to get out there and you become a part of the problem and not the solution, right? So we go down there. We want to do everything right. So we're on the phone with Washington working on our ECOA, and they give us the intel, so we send it in. We did everything they asked us to do, so we send it in, we get it back. You need to change this. Okay, so we change it on the fly as we're going, send it back in. We don't hear anything. So we get there that day. They're calling for us, hey, we need you to go out here and do this for us. We work our butt off all day long under the assumption our ECOA was filed. We did a lot of work, and so much good work that they were eagerly anticipating our return the next day. And so the next morning I wake up, we get an email from the FAA that says, hey, you're grounded, you can't fly, you don't have your ECOA completed. So I go into the command center and they say, hey, we got these levees, they're fixing to fail, we need you to get eyes on them so we know what we need to do to evacuate. And I looked at him, I said, well, I can't do it, I wish I could help you, but the FAA has grounded me. And through an act of divine intervention, I'm just going to say that the mayor was standing there of this Missouri City. I don't know if anybody knows Missouri City. It's a suburb of Houston. And he goes, he's really upset. He goes, hang on. So he's on the phone and he's talking to somebody. And he hands the phone to me and he says, hey, this is U.S. Congressman from Houston. Can you talk to me? And I said, yeah, sure, I'll talk to him. And the congressman gets on the phone. Of course, he wants to know my credentials, and I explain what we're there for and how we're dispatched out. And he goes, go to the location. I'll have you in the air before you get there. And I went, okay, yeah, we'll do that. And I blew him off. Yeah, right. Nobody can get through the FAA that fast. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. So I head that way, and I mean, I'm no longer on the ground when the SOC calls me and says, "What the hell have you done?" And I went, "What do you mean? I just talked to a congressman out of Houston, and they said, seriously, the FAA is jumping through hoops to get your ECOA. They said to go ahead and fly that, have it ready." And I said, no. I said, it don't work that way. I said, you get the name of the person that's going to authorize my ECOA and their phone number and have them call me to authorize it. I said, because I'm not going to fly until I have authorization. And so I no more hang up the phone, and then I get this guy that calls me, and he says, "I'm so-and-so with the FAA. Can you go ahead and start flying?" He goes, "I'll have your ECOA ready to go." And he said, "Whatever you do whatever they need in Missouri City, and we'll take care of you." I was like, okay. So I called back to the SOC. I said, "Who the hell is this guy from Houston that I talked to?" He is on the board for the FAA. He holds their purse strings. How I fell across, I should have bought a lottery ticket that day, because that was the best day ever, because I actually got one over on the FAA. And if there's anybody here from the FAA, I love you guys.